Awesome. All right, welcome everyone to this LinkedIn Live. I'm Vasanth. I am a developer, head of developer relations and product marketing here at SambaNova. Excited to be in Berlin and joined by our partners, Infercom, as well as their partner, co-mind, to talk about sovereign AI in Europe. I think it's an amazing topic. There's a lot that's happening here in the European ecosystem, and we're going to be diving into all of that detail as part of this conversation. But first, to kick things off, I wanted to have everyone at this panel to do a quick round of intros. So I'll start on my right here with Altug.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for moderating this webinar today.
Course.
We just came from California last night, and we have two great events today in Berlin with you. So one is this webinar, and the other is this evening.
Yep.
So it will be wonderful and fruitful. Hopefully, the people like also what we are discussing today. So my name is Altug. I am also working as a managing director in Infercom. Infercom is a new company, just almost 1 year old. And we are Luxembourg-based inference as a service provider using SambaNova RE technology to providing high-performance sovereign AI and inference technology to the European market. Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, great. My name is Levent Akyil. So I'm the CEO and CTO of co-mind, a very young startup. So I'm really actually proud and happy to be with great partners and people like you. So join this conversation. I'm really looking forward to our chat around sovereign AI, private and local AI. So really looking forward to that. Happy to be here.
All right. Yeah, my name is Thomas. I'm running go-to-market for Infercom and working with his wonderful partners to build a truly EU sovereign AI stack, and looking forward to this discussion.
Awesome. Let's start with a nice and easy one. For Europe, what is sovereign AI? There's a lot of different layers to that stack, but let's break that down a little bit in terms of kind of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. So Europe is stepping into a new era with the AI. There's a great opportunity here with the AI. Then there's a big market, and there is a premium service capability with the many different AI companies in Europe. But this great power comes with the great responsibility. Now we have also really good regulation, which is called EU AI Act. So basically keeping our GDPR mind, also GDPR in our mind, and also putting more things to become a sovereign AI inference, so sovereign AI services. So for that angle, as Infercom, we are jumping into the game and putting an infrastructure technology to leverage AI companies in Europe and putting a end-to-end European AI infrastructure service to make them much more powerful, much more confident with the regulation, and keeping all data, but also using the high technology to provide developing great products for the Europe market. This is the sovereign AI, basically.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's really interesting about the AI space is it's changing so fast and rapidly. If you're kind of looking about the last, let's call it 12 months, what have you seen that's kind of changed? I mean, you mentioned the EU AI Act, but what are other things that are changing in Europe that are kind of reframing how we're thinking about AI and sovereign AI?
Basically, we see a great transformation. So all the European companies, each and every level enterprises, from small to large enterprises, they are starting to become an AI-enabled companies. So with this transformation, many AI companies find also opportunity to jump into the business for European market. This is the biggest transformation part. But we also see that there is a huge transformation starting from the GPU services to more than GPU as the inference side services. So there is the two parts right now. So the companies develop their products with the GPUs, but also for serving this AI solutions, they are looking for some inference solutions. And these inference solutions needs are increasing rapidly in the European market. This is the most important transformation, I guess. There is also good initiatives with the European Commissions like AI factory projects, but these are also the HPs, high performance computing GPU projects. So these are for production level for developing these AI solutions. But when it comes to the serving of these AI solutions, there is a big opportunity and gap here with the inference technology. And this is, I think, the next big thing for the European market.
Yeah, I think that's super important. AI can be broadly broken down into the training piece, which I think we're seeing training happen in a wide range of regions. But when you're actually going into production and you actually have these use cases, it's all about inference. And that's where the sovereignty becomes really important, because you want to have all of that, the data local, the models local, all running within especially for data privacy reasons, having that all local. Levent, I'd love to pass it over to you to just talk a little bit about some of those use cases that you're seeing when it comes to the developers and the developer ecosystem, and why they need sovereign inference here in Europe.
Yeah, that's that's a great segue, Vasanth. Thank you. So as co-mind, we are actually, our premise is really how do we bring private, secure, and local AI capabilities where data is. As you know, we talked about inferencing. Inferencing is actually taking, right now, is the key thing to really take the advantage of AI. So the challenge is, especially in Europe, and especially with the customers we work with, and our customers are actually managed service providers, they always seek how do we serve our local customers, because they want sovereign AI solutions. And right now, all these AI solutions out there requires your data to leave Europe or to go other data centers outside of Europe. So the question is, how do we actually keep data where it is while bringing the AI capabilities either through AI factories or on-prem or private AI as a service solutions to our data. So our goal is to bring such AI capabilities, let it be private AI as a service infrastructure or through on-prem to the data. So our customers are actually hungry for private and sovereign AI solutions. And our key partners are managed service providers who are serving especially healthcare, finance, and regulated businesses, could be government, and education, and investment, for example, investment bankers or VCs, whoever you talk to. Nobody wants to give their data to the public cloud vendors. They want to own the infrastructure. So we are seeing this need specifically for verticals like healthcare, education, finance, and other regulated industries.
No, I think that's great. Can you talk also a little bit about how those companies are thinking about sovereign compute through a service like Infercom versus on-prem, and or even how they're thinking about maybe even a hybrid model which fits between both of those solutions?
And of course, I think this goes always back and forth. Even before the AI era started, the cloud, right? When cloud came on-premise, or what it's going to do, basically the same conversations we happened back then. Right now, you see people don't like to manage their infrastructure. So they're really looking into AI factors and infrastructure so that, because they want to get just the AI as a service and benefit, they don't necessarily want to manage their infrastructure.
Yeah.
So for those companies who really want to use AI capabilities and get benefit out of AI, they are looking capabilities like Infercom offers, because they are providing high-performing AI infrastructure that basically companies can add on the top other software, value-added software stacks to get the most out of AI. But there are other set of companies who says, actually, I want to manage my server, because they're small, medium businesses. When you look at them, they like to maybe control their infrastructure. It could be one server, or they have their MSPs or local CSPs who are managing their infrastructure. So they like to actually have their data and infrastructure in such services rather than relying on a big infrastructure. So we see both at this point, but clearly, depending on who you talk to, and especially depending on the vertical, you will see two different options: private AI as a service with the AI factors in the backend, or on-prem solutions for these verticals.
That's great. And I think in that transition to kind of enterprise customers looking to manage their own infrastructure, that also opens a question to what models do they see running on that infrastructure. Thomas, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of the open source ecosystem and the models that are being served on Infercom, and how you see that within the context of Europe and how they're approaching the open source model ecosystem.
Sure, sure. Yeah, so I think the open source or rather open weight models are getting more attention and more recognition. That's why we basically bet on that, because it has at least two very distinct values over the proprietary models, right? So number one is you avoid any vendor login. As the name says, open weight, so everybody has access to the weights, and you can fine-tune it, you own it, you're not locked into a specific commercial service deploying and providing inference on those models, right? And that enables basically the true sovereignty aspect for those who are running these models versus the proprietary models.
And how are you thinking about it in terms of, obviously there's Mistral here in Europe, there is Llama in the US, and there are Chinese models. How are you thinking about it in terms of, or rather not you, but like Europe, in terms of how the value of each of these different models, and does the origin of these models necessarily play a role in the sovereign deployment here for Infercom?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting aspect, right? And there are, again, many angles to that. So number one is, what used to be a topic is the language support, right? So obviously, in the beginning, models were more trained towards specific languages based on their origin region, but that has mostly gone away. I think at large you can say that at least the bigger open source models are pretty good at most languages. There are still some specifics, but at large I think that is solved, right? The other aspect is a little bit more, let's say, the perception, or I would say almost emotional issue when you look at it, right? That you naturally trust more what comes out of your neighborhood rather than what comes out of other regions. But that's then to be countered with looking at the actual facts and technical perspective. And then when you look at it, it's open weights, right? It's not code. These are just billions and billions of numbers, and there is no way to put any harmful backdoors or whatever into it, right? So the actual inference runtime is just a small piece of code, right? Everybody can look at that, and in that sense, I think it's also a little bit about education and understanding what are actual risks and what can you trust, right? And from a purely technical perspective, I think bottom line is that there is no concern about any harmful backdoors, whatever. You can trust open weight models, but it's a learning process as always, right? You need to build that trust, you need to build that understanding, and eventually, just get over it, so to speak.
Yeah. Levent, I'd love your perspective on this as well, especially from the customers and partners that you're working with.
I think this is very a good question, Vasanth. Actually, in our platform, we are deploying only open source technology, off-the-shelf technology, and open models when it comes to LLM inferencing. And of course, the origin of the LLM is always a debate, and the capabilities and the license of that model. Even though it's open, there's always other restrictions you have to pay attention. So for us, we are deploying all sorts of models, from SLMs, small models, normal LLMs, and the big language models. These are all open. We prefer, right now from our customers actually, we are not seeing any preference saying, I want to see only European model like Mistral from France, or when we talk to our customers in, for example, Arab Emirates, they're not saying, I want to see only Falcon. And it's just basically they don't care. As long as they can get their value and ROI and time to solution, they are looking into the benefit they get. So from our point of view, we want to keep it to open, but we have not seen any preference saying, I want to have this particular model used, because reality is, Vasanth, customers don't know much about these models, and they are looking at us to tell them what model to use and how, in what context. And even then, they only want to care, am I getting the benefits out of the platform and AI solutions? That's what they're really looking for. However, AI Act, we talked about it, it tells you what is developed, deployed, and governed in Europe. And as part of that, you have high-risk technologies, low-risk technology, different levels, and models are part of these risk categories. So definitely the model and open models, depending on where they are deployed, is actually going to be dictated by the EU Act, AI Act. So that's going to be important, actually, ultimately.
Yeah, no, that's super important. And I think on that there's the model layer of everything, but then there's also the inference provider layer. Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of what's unique about Infercom being kind of fully sovereign and located in Europe, and the relationship with SambaNova, and at least just from a technology perspective?
Yeah, so when we started this journey, we also look for the technologies with the inference chipsets. And when we started to talk about SambaNova and the RD technology, we see a benefit, a mutual benefit for Europe customers, and also designing a service on top of this SambaNova technology. That's why we just started journey with a fellow at SambaNova and started to use their technology. But on the other angle, when we started to design our service model, we put everything in Europe, starting from the hardware, which is in Munich, in a data center in Munich, and putting all the CRM or any other support tools and everything still in Europe. Even basic but e-signature services also chosen from a European company. And also on top of that, we are really looking for some good partnership and ecosystem on top of it. Because as we see that, as Infercom, this is not a one-man show. The real value, the most benefit comes from this ecosystem. Because only inference is the one part of that technology. So we should design good sovereign AI use cases with our partner ecosystem, and we just serve these use cases to the market to create more value for the European companies. This is the real difference, and we believe that with that way we will create a huge inference technology ecosystem in the market.
Yeah, and Levent, from your partners and customers, are you seeing, how are they approaching kind of various different cloud providers that are out there? Are they seeing the need to go to some of the bigger players, or do they actually prefer working with some of the more sovereign entities like Infercom?
This is a very good question, because I think most of the customers are already using some of these big cloud vendors. And we talked about vendor lock-in. And so they know they want to get out of the vendor lock-in for various reasons. But this is hard. AI is one of the reasons they want to get out of this for sovereignty and making it in Europe, and also because of EU AI Act and many reasons. But that's a challenge, because I think there are big cloud vendors, hyperscalers, who can put EU tag on it or label on it and call it made in Europe, or everything is in Europe, is compliant. But we know the political and geopolitical reasons how this might not be the case. So therefore, we are seeing more and more questions and concerns from the complete, the stack providers, from hardware to the OS to the AI stack, that actually how do we become more sovereign? And this sovereignty conversation has been going on for a long time. And with the AI boom, this is becoming more important, and that's why the infrastructure, especially on the AI factory side, like Infercom providing the services, is going to be extremely critical because of the capacity needs that the companies will start looking for. And yeah, and that's going to be compliant to EU AI Act, GDPR, and fully made in Europe. And that's what people are looking for, but they don't know how to get out because they're looking for alternatives. It's so easy to go to ChatGPT and other technologies, but yet they know they don't want to, but the alternatives has to come. And that's why we are here, to bring those alternatives.
Yeah, and it's a full stack solution, right? From the hardware all the way up to the use case.
Altug talked about use case. I think that's the key thing. How do we bring this whole, because it's not stack, it's the full stack solving specific use cases and giving alternatives. And that's what we really want to achieve.
Yeah. Maybe talk a little bit kind of how you're seeing kind of your customers also who might have been using a ChatGPT, or they might be using any of the other kind of closed source models, and how they're thinking about transitioning over to a solution like co-mind.
I mean, our solution is really, we are building a secure private AI platform, agentic AI platform that is powered by Infercom, for example, in the backend, AI factories. When we need big models and bigger models, we leverage Infercom. Otherwise, we rely on, again, other architectures, GPU, different GPU architectures. And customers are actually looking into, and when you talk to customers and you ask them, what is your specific use case? What do you want to do? There's some confusion. What I see is at the top, CEOs and CIOs are very excited. They want to adopt AI. They pressure because they they don't want to be left behind. But then the middle layer don't know what to do. There's so many cases. Where do we start? And it's not easy. So I think what we want to solve is we need to start small, solve specific use cases, think big, and start scaling from those small use cases. True. And that's what we're actually trying to do with our customers too, because we don't promise them that we can solve everything. However, let's figure out step by step. Let's start small, think big, and go from there. And then prove that these local solutions can be alternative rather than just throwing the data out into the wild there. So
yeah, no, I know that it's very easy to start in the wild west, funnily enough, but when you really want to bring something to production, that's where all of these meeting regulation and security matter.
Just last Friday, we met a customer, and customer says, okay, do I need to build my own GPU infrastructure for your solution? We said, no. You can build or use a private AI as a service cloud vendor or MSP, or if you have your own hardware, you can always expand the capacity to technologies like Infercom because they're AI factories. And they are providing all these low latency inferencing capabilities for you to leverage. And that's also great for us because it's so easy for us to integrate to that solution. So I can run my agentic flows or AI solutions on the local system or on a private and sovereign infrastructure. And people actually like this scale out options.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? Like being able to pick and choose what infrastructure you want, being able to run it in a hybrid deployment, right? And that flexibility is really what matters for, I think, what we see largely in the ecosystem today is like a lot of enterprise deployments that are kind of stuck in POC land. But to really move it to production, they need the security, they need the privacy, they need the flexibility to easily deploy and move things across various different infrastructures.
Exactly.
Maybe switching gears to kind of, we're here, 2026. If we're looking into the future, how do you see sovereign AI evolving over the, let's call it the next 2 or 3 years? Do we expect to see kind of a shift from more people that are in POC moving into production and then moving away from a lot of these clouds, or are we going to see kind of a hybrid solution? Just generally, what are this panel's thoughts on where we go in the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, I'm coming from cloud business. So before that, I was also working for cloud, and I remember 10 years ago, it was cloud technology. So it started with infrastructure, but it's transformed to platform services, then the software as a service level. And when it comes to SaaS solutions, nobody knows what kind of hardware, what kind of technology behind it, but they're just looking for the performance and this GDPR or regulation compliance things. So I also feel similar transformation with the sovereign AI solutions for the market, but not like 10 years period. Probably for upcoming 2-3 years, we will also see similar transformation for the market, and we will see more enterprise AI solutions. And the most important part become an enterprise AI market. But in that scenario, sovereignty become much more important because when these enterprise AI solutions come to market, the users looking for some sovereignty, some compliance, keeping their data again in the Europe. So in that scenario, these inference technology become much more crucial, and keeping it also in Europe with the high performance, low latency, and make them enterprise AI solutions successful with that way. So I think this transformation come in 2-3 years. And as Infercom, we are not, our promise is not competing with the GPU. Still, the market needs GPU, but there is a complementary service to the GPU in inference side coming with the Infercom. Our promise is just closing a gap in the European market, putting correct hardware and technology with high performance, and keeping enterprise AI solutions successful for the Europes.
Yeah.
So this is the key, I guess.
Yeah, and that market will keep growing
Exactly.
over the next several years. Any other
Yeah,
thoughts?
absolutely, right? So I think looking at it from the high-level perspective, right, the power of Gen AI or LLMs is they are able to deal with unstructured data. And that means we need to give them data to do something meaningful, right? But then you need to ask yourself, to whom do you actually give that data, right? I mean, in the last couple of weeks, I think many people saw the hype around OpenClaw, right? And you see what it can do. It's fantastic value you can get out of it, but you need to be very conscious how you design that, right? How do you package it? How do you make it secure? How do you make sure that the data you give to it is not going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we are trying to enable and help building systems where you can ingest the data so that we can unlock that superpower, that value, but do it in a contained and secure way. I mean, that's exactly what you're doing, Levent,
Exactly,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
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 That's actually a very good point. Right now, the definition of sovereignty, what is private, what is local, what is secure, is all, there's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
You gave an example, very good example, Thomas. The companies claim to be private. It's private. It's your chat history, maybe nothing else. You still talk to actually cloud providers. Is it staying in Europe if we talk about sovereignty? No. So I think there's a lot of noise and there's lack of clarity and confusion. So the question, I think, when it comes to sovereignty and the solutions we provide, how do we rise above that noise and really make it actually useful for the European market, if the goal is really sovereign technologies, sovereign solutions? How do we make it useful for those? Because that noise is so much around, and so it's hard for us, companies like us. Okay, I got email right away, 3-4 emails. Oh, but what is this? Are they really private, secure? You tell me that you do private and secure. Then I respond them what I think about the technologies. So coming to your sovereignty question, I'll to start with the cloud and data, and this is not new. It will continue. I think the question is, how do we make it easy? And because it's a spectrum, if you cannot make it easy enough, people won't adopt. Doesn't matter how sovereign you are. So we need to make all our solutions, infrastructure, the complete stack usable and a good alternative, so people don't have to use the alternatives. That's, I think, the key challenge I see going forward. This has not changed for any other technologies from the past. And privacy, people will still continue to shadow AI. Doesn't matter, you set up your sovereign technology, people will upload their documents with their own keys because they find it easy. So for us, I think the key future of sovereignty, yes, this is great ambition. The question is, do we have the right investment, right technologies, right partners to really make it happen so people don't seek alternatives and keep it local? So I think that's going to dictate how the future is going to shape.
Yeah, no, I think that's super important. We talked about open models on their own infrastructure. It needs to be as close or as compatible as what they're getting from other solutions. And open source is still lagging a little bit behind, but it's catching up, right? And so I think as the ecosystem starts to mature and grow, we'll naturally end up seeing that kind of convergence, and hopefully the solutions just continue to become at parity with what we're seeing kind of out in the market today. So no, this has been a fantastic conversation. Any closing thoughts that we might have that we haven't covered? I know we jumped around a lot, but
maybe we can say a little bit about this ecosystem. So we just calling these all European companies, European AI startups to make partnership with us, because as we create use cases, valuable use cases to the market, then the chance of being successful together in European AI sovereignty will be much more potential. So that's why we just calling them to just contact with us and use our technology as a leverage to make their AI solutions much more successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just can support that, right? I mean, as you said, we all need to work together to make solutions that are easy and deployment and consumable right away, right? And that is something, yeah, we have been trying in Europe for many years in the cloud space and other spaces, but that is really the key for us. And we have now a production-ready platform which people can go to and use, and we work with partners which build production-ready platforms. So we are really doing that, right? And I think that is the key, building that in a way like it needs to be today, right? I mean, we need to enable developers, customers to go to our platforms, swipe their credit card, and start using it straight away without any complicated whatever. And that's what we're building.
Yeah. And I'm sure.
And I can say actually your platform is already like that. I can easily use your APIs and then in the backend and get accelerated technologies. So you already make it easy for us. So that's a great start. Thank you guys. But yeah, I think I fully agree. We need to make things all come together and make it easily consumable, digestible, and so that people, how do we get people out of their locked in situation into real solutions that are actually sovereign? Otherwise, sovereignty will stay as a label. We need to make it happen. I think your tagline is, now it's time for execution. That's exactly what we need to do. So,
yeah. And from the SambaNova side, we're happy to be supporting the ecosystem here. And I think it's super important also just kind of from a partner and community building perspective, right, to have kind of more and more people kind of saying that same message, delivering the same values and use cases. That's ultimately what's going to push this and really kind of make this come to life. And so the more we can bring that into the market, the more I think we're all excited to see this grow and really make this a powerhouse in Europe.
yep, all rooting for it.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, I think this was a really great chat, and we're looking forward to keeping in touch with everyone. I think as Altug and Thomas mentioned, if you're a partner and you're excited to be building on sovereign AI in Europe, reach out to Infercom, and you have a solution that's very easy to use and that's out there already in the market today. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.